Hey everyone, it's Claudia, and welcome to Take a Moment to pause with purpose. And each week I come to you that hoping that you would be provoked to pause for a moment, think about what I'm saying, and maybe even stop and tweak perspective just a little bit, because sometimes the smallest changes can have a lasting impact going forward. Each week I come to you completely dependent on the Lord and the Holy Spirit to guide me with a message He downloads to me. I expect the Lord to show up and show off, and I do my part. I show up at the computer. And this has been going on for a while now. And I came into this kicking and screaming because I always like to prepare well ahead of time and to have my I's dotted and my T's crossed. But that whole changed when the Lord wanted me to trust Him with this. And it's been very freeing, actually. And it's going to be um, meaningful for the episode we've got for this week. I come to you, as I say, completely dependent on the Lord. I hope the messages bless you each week because I expect the Lord to fill my mouth and to let me speak what's on His heart for you. You can find me on my YouTube channel, Take a Moment to pause with purpose, and on podcast stations such as Apple and Spotify. Again, Take a Moment to pause with purpose. I ask that you would like, subscribe, and share. That would mean a lot. It would help grow the channel. But also feel free to comment. I enjoy the dialogue back and forth, and I want to know what you think. So this week is take a moment to let go of perfect. I believe I'm an expert on this topic. For years, I had tried to be perfect in everything I did, and it was stressful. It was cumbersome. It was freaked me out most of the time because guess what? Oh, newsflash, nobody is perfect. And when we try to be perfect, we just add stress to our lives. We have no peace, and it just it doesn't work. My dad always said if people didn't make mistakes, there would be no erasers on pencils. And I've used a lot of erasers on pencils. What I have found in life, I believe this episode is going to go in several directions, and just bear with me on this one. It is being perfect is the only person that's perfect is Jesus Christ. So let me get that out there right away. But I needed to be perfect. And that comes from a lot of different reasons. One, a lot of rejection. When we are rejected in life, we want to prove ourselves. We want to show people that we know what we're doing. We're perfect. We don't make mistakes. And guess what? It is really stressful. I did that for a lot of years. And I have learned that um, life is a process. Going through life is a process. And actually, it's funny. I put this heart-shaped pendant on today, and this was given to me by a friend. And on the back, it says, "Trust your journey." And that's what life is. It's trusting a journey. We're on a journey. We're all on a journey, and it shifts every minute of every day. And things that we had planned just don't happen, or they change constantly, which is my life. I've explained my life to you, but everything is a process. But when we try to be perfect, when we try to make things happen without any chance for error, as I said, it does cause a lot of stress and consternation. Now, as I said, growing up, I needed to be perfect. Now, as I said, this is going to go in a few different directions. One of the biggest issues for me was self-image. I was a normal sized kid, but then at a certain age, I started to blossom. And in an era when everybody was like stick thin, like today, I just felt inferior. I felt I was flawed. I just wasn't pretty or anything. And it created a big problem for me. And that I carried that through my life in the teenage years and getting older in 20s, 30s, 40s. It was what it was. But, and plus, I was in the beauty industry for a lot of years, in the marketing side of things. And I was around models. I was around, what I thought were perfect women, in terms of their body shape and size. They were thin and, you know, um, perfect, quote unquote, perfect. And I didn't fit in. And then there was a situation where I did not know I was I've talked about this, I was on steroids for 4 years every day and I blew up like a balloon. And I had put on a lot of weight. And I always felt, um, oh my gosh, I felt so horrible about myself, especially being in the beauty industry. And now I'm an actress, so being in the entertainment industry where the um, the mantra of beauty is being stick thin, especially today. And I think I'm going to go into that. But it created havoc in my life because I could never measure up. And then I realized that, as I said, nobody's perfect. And in corporate, when I worked for somebody, they had their perspective on what was perfect. And if I made a mistake, I didn't live up to their expectations and, wanted to be a people pleaser and blah, 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 blah. And then they leave and somebody else comes in and guess what? They want something totally different. So it's a moving target. The goalpost is always moving and it's problematic. It really is problematic. So I became a people pleaser, and then I was not perfect because I couldn't measure up to what people wanted, and blah 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 blah. So and now I'm in entertainment, and if you've read the news and seen things on TV, it's like sunken faces and being stick thin all over again, and it's unhealthy. It's ridiculous, but that's the trend right now to be stick thin, ridiculously skinny. And again, that's a moving target, and that beauty image is going to change because people are going to be dying because they're so skin on bones, deathly sick. And I think this is a bee in my bonnet, and I believe I'm going to be getting into that more in detail. But I had to come to the place of accepting me for me. And another issue that I've had is, especially being an actress, I prepare for a role, I have an audition, and I didn't know what they wanted, but I was like, and a lot of actors go through this. What are they looking for? I don't know. So I would prepare for a role, I'd get coaching, I'd work with people, I'd get ready for my auditions, and I wouldn't book whatever. What did I do wrong? Oh my gosh, it's terrible. But it's the nature of the industry. I have like 3% control over my life in this industry because I don't know what's going on behind the scenes and I don't know who knows who, and they're going to get a role. There's so much stuff that goes on and I have no control over it. But I had to learn that I needed to bring me into the room, prepare for the role, become the character, but I had to get comfortable with myself. I had to have that confidence in myself to bring me into the room and not try to be perfect of what I thought others wanted me to be. So, check mark on that one. But so we can't be people pleasers. We just can't. I mean, it's just not going to work because I was going to tell you something. They don't even know what they want. They don't know who they are, and we're going to try to please them. I don't think so. So we got to get comfortable in ourselves. We have to know who we are, and we have to have our identity. And generally, when I had to figure it out, my identity is in Jesus Christ. He just is. He is my source. And I have gotten a lot of freedom. It's taken a journey, a process to get to this place. And I did write my book about my journey, which is My Wall is Red, a memoir of discovery. And as I said, it's my journey. And there's been a lot of journey between when I wrote this book and finished it a couple of years ago to where I am now. So I'm working on book two. But part of trying to be perfect is, oh my gosh, I'm struggling at how to write this because I'm not quite sure what direction to go in. And that's another thing. When we want to be perfect, we procrastinate because we don't want to get started. What kind of things are you procrastinating because you're afraid to make a mistake? You don't want to, you're stuck. We can get stuck trying to be perfect. So I've got to kind of erase this perfection thing and trying to write and just flow with it and let it rip. So that's what I have to do. And I recognize it, and I think just speaking it out helps too because I'm owned up to it. But fast forward, I want to get back to this perfection in image. All right. Um, we are fearfully and wonderfully made. God, that's the way God made us. We are made in His image. And we need to come into that place of being confident in who we are and whose we are and identify because God knew us before we were in the womb. And we have to stop comparing ourselves to other people. That's another problem. We try to be perfect by comparing ourselves to other people. Well, I'm not them, they're not me. I have different needs, I have different wants, different likes from anybody else. But when we compare, it creates big problems. It creates jealousy, a sense of inferiority, a complex. I mean, rejection again. Well, they have this, I don't have that. They're better than me. Blah 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 blah. And we sing the same song over and over again. So I had an issue where I was comparing myself physically to everyone else, and well, they're so skinny. But I got this program, and I'm a health coach that finally helped me get all that weight off because I tried everything, but I needed to get to the root source of the problem. And now I lost 60 pounds and I'm very comfortable in my own skin. But I didn't do this for anybody else. I did it for me. I wanted to be healthy. And I recognized where I was not healthy. My body was falling apart because of the steroids. But now I'm a coach to help other people to get their health back and be healthy and not stick thin, skinny. So this perception of this perspective of what beauty is. But I've come to realize that beauty comes from confidence from within. That shines forth, and that just there's a beauty in that of having a confidence and entering a room and knowing who you are and not comparing yourself to anybody else. It's a wonderful thing, and I'm grateful I have reached that point in my life because of the journey I've been on to get to this place. And I'm not perfect. I confess I am not perfect, but in my flaws, I recognize there's a beauty in that too. And I recognize that it's okay to be human. I've had to come to this place. It's okay to be human. And guess what? Another newsflash, we're all human. We all make mistakes. And I say that again. And I'm kind of having fun in this. I make mistakes now. It's okay. I can pick myself up and dust myself off and start again. Think about Thomas Edison. I think he was like 1,000 or 2,000 times he tried to make the light bulb. Did that discourage him? No. He discovered 2,000 ways of how not to make a light bulb. And look where we are today with all the electricity, with all the light bulbs we have. And from his persistence of not giving up and feeling like he was a failure and made mistakes, because it's not failing, it's learning and moving forward. So, we don't want to be stuck. We don't want to have self-image issues. We don't want to be hard on ourselves, comparing ourselves to everybody else. We don't want to be in this mode of ridiculousness of being in trends and fads and look at what everybody else is doing. Look at yourself. We are phenomenal creations by God, and we bring so much light and creativity and blessings to other people because we're all gifted. And we have to stop seeing ourselves as making mistakes, not being perfect. What is perfect is who we are in Christ, and then we're made perfect. Okay. So I just want to encourage you that don't worry about the mistakes. Don't worry about the flaws. And I'm going to go back to my days in corporate in the beauty industry. I mean, you know, and then this perfection thing of being young and skinny and beautiful. Guess what? We all get older. And it's funny. I'm kind of bouncing around here, but I was walking down the street the other day and I saw this woman, and I don't stare at people, but I just was taken aback. There was this very beautiful young woman, and she had a very small on top, but she had a very full derriere. And I was like, what is that? I was like, that's odd. I've never seen a figure like that before. And then I was scrolling through YouTube and I came across something and it's like, what is BBL? I don't know what BBL is. And I discovered it's a Brazilian butt lift. And women are going in and having surgery to have their butts implanted and fat and stuff. And um, a lot of distortion is happening. A lot of mistakes are happening. So in their quest to be perfect, and physically, they are now struggling with all the side effects of having this Brazilian butt lift that doesn't work. And guess what? It's surgery and it is dangerous. And when I'm watching this video, it was like these women are dying, and you have the mommy makeovers, and people are going into comas. They're getting sick. We need to accept that growing old gracefully is also beautiful, and it's not a problem. Do I have little lines and wrinkles? Of course I do. I'm getting older. But I've learned to accept me and just a tidbit coming from my beauty days, all right? Makeup should not hide who we are. It should enhance the beauty that we do have because we are beautifully, we're inherently beautiful. Let's not hide. Let's glow with the light inside of us, with the confidence inside of us. And we have to let go of this perfect mentality in every aspect of our life. But I'm focusing on the beauty, I'm focusing on the physical because it's so paramount right now. It's everywhere. And I think it's insane. I personally think it's insane. So, with all of this, I encourage you to take a moment to let go of perfect.